What is going on today, guys? Welcome back. We are starting out this Friday with a little road trip to go grab some AN fittings. We did figure out exactly what was going on with the AirDog fuel system on the 12 valve. Turns out Greg had the regulator on the wrong side of the pump. So we're gonna get that swapped over today. The only problem with that being is all of the fuel lines that we had made were based on that regulator coming at a certain angle, this and that. So we need to kind of swap some fittings over. Normally I would be waiting for these fittings for like a couple days, seeing that it's, you know, we found this out last night, Thursday, wouldn't get them till Monday. I really don't want to wait that long. I constantly always forget that, I don't know if you guys remember a long time ago, our friends at Jones Racing Products, which is only about 30 minutes from my house, reached out and said, hey, we have all these fittings too if you are looking for a more local solution, still all the same quality as all the Vibrant stuff that we have. So I was like, you know what, we're in a pinch. We need to go grab some of this stuff right now. I really want to try and get this done. So we're going to go over here, grab some fittings from them. And like I said, I just constantly always forget that this is even an option for me. I always just grab them online because I always forget. So that's where the day is starting. We're going to keep cranking on the 12 valve, continuously trying to get that thing done. I do have all of the fittings for all of the turbo drain stuff, so we have all that stuff. So today I think we are just going to probably focus on the 12 valve, a lot of tedious little things. Yesterday we did actually get the shutoff cable well, we're not using a solenoid, so we're using a cable. So we got the cable all situated, got a spring on that. I'll show you guys all that when we get back to the house, but right now, sit back, enjoy the nice fall, gloomy trip over to Jones Racing Products. Fast forward a bit, we are back at the shop, back from Jones Racing. We got everything that we need. Kind of got talking to the owners there, a couple of the guys that work there. Super awesome dudes. Again, like they were only like 30 minutes from my house. Dan actually watches. Thank you, Dan. Great contact. Just love connecting with kind of local family-owned businesses. Super awesome guys. So here's what we got. We got the 2 straight fittings. And again, these guys make all of their own fittings. So we got 2 number 8 straight AN fittings. Got a sweet number 8 wrench. Got some sweet cutters. I'll explain to you guys this in a minute because I've been doing it wrong the whole entire time, and some extra spare number 8 AN hose. So Jones Racing Products, I know I've talked about these guys a little bit before in the past, but what they do is advanced pulley and drive systems. If you guys look, we'll skim through this here a little bit. Like they do all of the pulleys, the belt drives. I kind of took a quick tour around there. We're going to go back. We'll do some filming. They were kind of in the middle of a little machine shift there, so everything was kind of a little bit all over the place. But we'll come back. We'll give you guys a tour. Really cool process. Just a bunch of really cool stuff. If you guys, and again, wrenches, fittings, I do get questions quite a bit about fittings and stuff. These guys offer everything that you would normally get like on Jegs or Summit too as well. Really nice. They actually label them. You can't get them confused. So you know what a number 8, number 10, number 6 is. Everything is kind of labeled, which is pretty nice. So what they said, and they asked me how I was cutting the hose, and I told them that I normally cut it with a cutoff wheel. I usually wrap electrical tape and I cut it kind of quickly. Now what they said is, you see all the steel. This is a steel braided hose. What they said is sometimes you can, as you're cutting that steel, some of those small fragments, they might possibly have a way of getting into the actual rubber part of the hose, kind of melting in there. Now, you know, if you got a hot oil line or something like that, the hot oil will then release that steel from being embedded that you're really not going to be able to see. So what they recommend, and the proper way to do it, is get these nice cutters. You can kind of see they're kind of shaped round. You stick the hose end in there, super sharp, and it cuts through that really cleanly. This was actually a end that we cut off of their existing reel, and look at that, super clean. Probably get it much straighter than trying to cut it on the ground. So just an interesting fact I did not know. I've been doing it wrong this whole entire time. So we ended up getting a pair of these. These are from them as well, Jones Racing Products. Again, super awesome dudes. They even gave me a sweet t-shirt. Heck yeah, made in the USA, baby. Doesn't get better than that. So let me show you guys exactly what we got going on and why we need these fittings. Like I mentioned, we may have put the fuel pressure regulator on the wrong side, and we need to redo some hoses underneath there. Alrighty, so what we had is we had the regulator on this side of the pump. It actually needs to be on this side of the pump. And then this line is going to go back to the tank. This other one over here is going to be a straight fitting going right to the engine. This pump is designed to pretty much run completely wide open, max pressure, max volume all of the time, and then it gets dialed back, kind of just like on some of the Ford stuff, which, again, like I said, I'm not afraid to admit my mistakes. I installed this incorrectly. I'm not really familiar with some of the regulated return stuff like Ford guys sometimes have, but this is the feed line going to the engine. It has a 90 on it now. I don't really have enough slack in this hose, so I actually have to remake part of this hose with a straight fitting, like so. Put that guy right on there, and then what we'll have to do is run the regulator like this after the fact, and then try and run this, and then this 90 that was right here, that was going like that, that's actually going to end up being a straight as well. But I do have enough slack in this one that I'll be able to just cut this right here. The other thing that they recommended as well is if you are, these fittings are reusable, but if you're going to say take this fitting off and change it, you do want to try and cut, you know, like right below this fitting line right here, to get a fresh crimp on that hose. This whole inch that's up inside here, seeing that once it's already crimped, you kind of want to just leave that and cut that off. So we're going to cut that off, put a straight one there, and then our fuel system will be completely done. Now, what I didn't show you guys yesterday while we were here, oops, there goes our nice new shiny fitting that was on my lap. So what we did, we got the compounds back on, that way we can make up the feeds and drains. As you can see, I kind of got the one drain fitting here, got some of the fittings starting to get mocked up on the feeds for both turbos, and then also down here on the filter head assembly. So we're gonna go ahead and make those. We're gonna make the feeds and the drains, obviously, before we get this thing fired up. I got that done. Everything is pretty much done, and we did get our shutoff cable, like I was mentioning earlier. Let me take you off their little stand here so you can get a little closer. So if you look back here, that is your shutoff lever. We have a spring pulling it forward because forward means that it's on. So it'll be constantly on, and then we want to shut it off. We have this cable that runs straight back into the cab, and what we have in the cab is a nice looking little pull lever here, right down here. Just go ahead and pull that. And when we pull that, let me zoom in here. Let me see if I can show you guys. You can kind of see, pulls that lever back, hopefully far enough, and it will shut the truck off. Not really pulling it super hard right now. So if you guys take a look at that, I'm not really sure how much detail, seeing it so small. The cable is really just wrapped around that bolt, and then we kind of have it just sandwiched in between the bolt and that nut there. I'm not really sure on maybe what the best possible way to make sure that doesn't kind of just come unraveled off of that bolt, but that is how we have it set up for now. Won't know if it works until we go to start it up. Alrighty guys, after a little while longer, we got Andy eating pizza, Mark's here. We finally, after a couple configurations of these lines underneath here, we have it set, everything is tight. Let me show you what we got going on here. Roll underneath here. Alright, so got the regulator on the right side of the pump. I have tested it, it is working, so we have no fear. Like I said, got the straight fitting off of that. We actually ended up having to do a 45 off of that because this regulator is so big and it's right next to the floor, so it can't go straight up and down to have a straight. So normally I'd really like to have a straight fitting off of that because that's feeding the pump, but really no such luck because of the room that we're working with here. So everything is good. That's the feed from the tank, all that stuff. We've been all over that, so that's all good to go. I'm gonna flip it on for you. We got the battery temporarily hooked up in here. I did put the charger on it on 40 amps just because I don't know if that battery is dead or not. But either way, we're gonna adjust the final pressure when the truck is running. Focus. Come on. Come on! There's no light in here. So we're about like 56, 57 possibly. We're probably gonna run it around 60-ish, a little over 60. Like I said, we'll do our final adjustments when the truck is running on the fuel pressure, but that is definitely good enough to start it up. That took definitely quite a bit longer than I anticipated. Had to try and finagle those fittings a little bit different than I thought. So we're gonna move on to getting the feeds and drains done and see what time that takes us to. All right, so as you can hear, we're getting a little bit of rain outside. I told myself we weren't gonna work later than 10, 9:50 on the dot. We have hit our goal. Maybe not starting it up, but tomorrow, hopefully you guys can hear me. It is really coming down. Tomorrow, Saturday, we're gonna get our butts over here, keep cranking on this thing, but we have the feeds and the drains completely done. As you can see on the early, well, actually, I think until you get to a 24 valve, the blocks don't have a second freeze plug in the back of the block, so technically to run two separate drains, you have to pull the pan, and we did not do that, so technically this is the less preferred method of compounds on a 12 valve as far as drains go. But what you want to do is you want to try and wire them together as close to the block as possible. That's what we have done. We got the fleece drain adapters. You can barely see anything. I am super glad that I left the front clip off of this thing to try and get in here and do all this stuff. But the feeds and drains are done. Number 6 feeds, number 10 drains, utilizing the fleece adapter pieces there. So the drains are not completely tight, but all of the lines are, and all of the lines are done. So not resting in the final places. Need a little zip tie here, but super pumped. Drains, feeds, done. Fuel system done. We are ready to pretty much start cranking this thing, get some fuel in these fuel lines, tighten these down, and have somebody ready to shut this thing off with a piece of wood if needed. So I told Andrew to come back tomorrow if he could. This needs to be tightened. That was loose. I told Andrew to try and come back tomorrow so we could have a second set of eyes on this thing when we fire this thing up. So I am hoping tomorrow that this thing will be fired up. We are also going to start the teardown on the dually for the new turbo and manifold setup that we have going on. So make sure you don't miss out on that. But other than that, guys, that is gonna wrap up Friday night in the shop. By the way, for all of you tool guys out there, if you guys are gonna be doing AN lines, I don't know how I've lived without these things. Best money. Get the good ones. These are the good ones. They're not cheap, but seriously, Jones Racing Products sells these things. These loppers, hedge trimmers, AN line cutters, whatever you want to call them. These things are worth every bit of every dollar. Save some massive time tonight not using the cutoff wheel with cleaning out lines and all that stuff. So recommendation, well worth the money on these. I do apologize. It's been kind of like at least like a 2-3 day period in between videos lately. Just a lot of stuff. I don't even like saying this, but just a lot of stuff in the background with everything going on. So we will be back here tomorrow for sure. This weekend's pretty much clear. clear, so Saturday, Sunday, we're gonna be in here knocking stuff out. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Should have at least 2-3 videos in a row coming at you. So as always, thank you guys so much for your support. I love you guys. Hit the like button before you leave. Subscribe if you have not already. I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.